Okay, can't really use a tripod doing this, so I'm holding one with the camera and one with the dikes. Okay, once again, never go this way to cut because you could cut the wires. You go this way to cut that, push down, and clip. Be careful not to get the wires. Now that's a tie strap that we have to remember to put a new one back on. So now keep in mind that we're putting tension on these sensors, and we need to make sure the sensors are not tilted or anything. All right, because then we'll get some other malfunctions. So now let's look at our board here. All right, and I do remember where everything came off. This is sideways. It sits actually up like this. All right, so the red and the black went on the terminal right there. The red on the other one right there. And a Herm where it says Herm on top of the capacitor. The one closest to me is where the yellow went. All right, so what I'm thinking it's going to be easier to pull from this side this way. You want to do one at a time. And you want to push toward the bundle to get it through. And it's the biggest wires. Okay, just push to the bundle and have it come through because we don't want to replace these. Now, these wires are already out. We can just pull them. I don't think there's anything else holding them in place. Just got to untangle them from everything else in there, all the plumbing. Pull these wires out. It's like untangling a extension cord. So now our wires are out and we can work on them and do it. Now, the one thing you got to be careful of, you don't want to make them too short, because if we can't run them from there to there with this disconnected, it could cause a problem. And we don't want to have to go out and get 10 gauge wire. On the side here, it tells you just how many gauges and a whole bunch of stuff. This is a number 12 gauge, so it's still a pretty thick wire. All right, now that we got these out, let's take the black one first. All right, the black one is the one without the wire, without the terminal on it. All right, these are the terminals that we need to obtain. Okay, now you cannot take a terminal that you get at AutoZone or Ace Hardware, Lowe's, that comes straight out and the wire goes in like this, because with the housing on, when you have this housing on, these wires are going underneath like this and hooking up. All right, so if you have them coming straight out, you're not going to be able to get the housing on. So that's why they're on an angle like that. So there's something to think about when you're getting these. So you have to go to a store that specializes in electronics. All right, so I have to go up where I'm meeting my wife at a winery at 6 o'clock tonight. The store that I'm going to is right in the general area. It closes at 4, so I'm going to be up there, probably at the winery doing the rest of this video because, you know, just to have something to do while she's getting there. So I want to show you something here, though, with the yellow wire. Okay, this is the burnt area. So this was on the bottom. I think it was like this, mounted like this. This came underneath and was hooked up to the black. And so when this broke off, it was sparking right there with this. That's the wire right there. All right, and that's something wire to wire, and that's what was popping the breaker. So probably did destroy the capacitor too, and by chance we changed out the capacitor. It's got a new one in there, so that alleviates the problem there, because this yellow goes to Herm on the capacitor. Power was coming straight in from the circuit breaker and fuses on the black wire, and it shorted out right there. So the idea here, and this is very flimsy too. So we need to obtain 3. I'm going to go ahead and change out the red also. So I'm going to show you how to cut the wire and how to strip the wire. The black is already missing. You're going to take a pair of dikes or wire cutters. These guys have an area in there to cut. This guy back here has an area to cut. A pair of pliers. Don't really have a very good cutting area inside below there, so I would actually invest if you don't have a pair of dikes. So we're going to cut, and I'm going to feel back here for any weaknesses. We see it puffed up right there, so we're going to cut right in back of that. We want to have as much as we can possibly get. I'm going to grab both sides, and I'm going to cut. All right, so it is pure copper, so if you want to recycle that, It takes a lot of copper to get some money, so that's fine. Now, on the wire itself, it has numbers and everything. All right, so it says Tennessee Wire and Cable Company. Okay, and it has the temperature. It says number 12, AWG, so it's 12 gauge. So I'm going to go on my little wire strippers here. I'm going to go look at my 12 gauge. That's on my wire stripper. All right, I'm going to stick the wire through there. It doesn't look like it's a very big hole that it's going through, but it's got a lot of insulation. You got to understand how much voltage actually goes through this, how much wattage. Now, what we want to look at is how much room. I'm going to just stick this through here for now. How much room we need to actually go in that terminal on the top part of the terminal. Okay, so that so we want to at least have that much. It's a pain in the rear end to actually shave off any more of the insulation. So we want to be there. Give a good squeeze, rotate it. Give a good squeeze, rotate it. Good squeeze, and I kind of felt it click all the way through. So what it did is it's not touching any wires. You go ahead and pull this off. The wires didn't get snipped at all, and that's the thing. If you're going to use a box cutter, a knife or something like that to actually trim around, you're going to singe one of these wires, and the amperage is not going to flow over it. So a fuse has just one little strand, and it depends on how many amps to actually blow that fuse. Now, what I have here is a little fuse, and you can see a little tiny wire in there. I might need a white background to actually show that, but there's a little tiny strand of wire in there. What happens is when it's rated at a certain amperage and voltage, and so if it goes over that, it's going to blow the fuse. So that's something you don't want to do here. If you break the strands off, you're turning this into some kind of a fuse, and when you have 20-30 amps going over this thing, it's really going to cause a problem. Now, what I do is I twist them to make it more of a solid thing. So when it goes into something like this, that little area right there, and we crimp this thing down, it's going to actually hold on real good. Now, what I like seeing when we're doing this is it coming out the other side. So whoever put this together, in my opinion, did not do it very good. Let's see what this side looks like. Yeah, I don't see it coming out the other end. I like seeing it actually protruding out the other side. So do this to the rest of the wires. Okay, every place that you're going to do it, just remember the side that's good you don't want to mess with. You want to do the side that's kind of dirty, been in the weather. This has been undercover, so it's cleaner. All right, so go ahead and do that. I don't think you need to see each one. However, I do want to bring up the yellow one. The yellow one has been charred, has been really damaged all the way back here. So we're going to take more of this off. Now, mind you, if you take too much off, you're going to have to replace the wire because it won't be able to reach. So we're going to come in right up here where the charred area is, and we're going to cut right there and take that off. So it's nice and clean in there. It's not charred. Now this wire is a little thinner. So let's go find the characters. Wow, it's in white too, so it's really hard to see. Okay, right there it says 16 gauge. So the Herm wire is not the 12 gauge that the other ones are. It's 16 gauge. So obviously less amperage. So go in the hole where the 16 is, and we have about that same amount of wire hang off. We're going to crimp it down, rotate it, crimp it, squeeze it down. I want to make sure we're still in that hole. And when I feel that little area of give, like it broke through, then I'll know that. It slipped out, so you got to make sure it stays in there. Okay, I think we're through. Pull that thing off, and there we go. And I want to make sure. Nope, didn't singe any wires. I really want to take a look. You can look in here, and I did singe wires. Okay, so I see wires in there, so I'm going to cut this. That's something. So the 16 didn't do it. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. All right, so I'm glad I did this, so you don't have to. All right, I'm just going to cut those off. And 16, I'm going to go up to 14. Believe it or not, that is up. Is going down in numbers. It goes larger. So I just don't want to cut those wires. So when you do this and it says 16 on it, do the 14. Let's see what that looks like. I think we're good there. Now what it's not doing is not cutting all the way through the, you have to give a good tug because it didn't cut all the way through the insulation. Now we have nothing missing. It's a perfect cut. Okay, what I did is I reached in and read off of those 3 contacts in there. Should have resistance so from each one to another. And I was very skittish. I did get readings. So what I did is I took a piece of sandpaper, sanded it down real good, and then got better readings, but still warm and comfy. I want to see good steady readings. Okay, what I did is I took the connectors, the terminals that were on the circuit board, and I put them on there, and then the other side is where I stripped. And this is exactly what I wanted to use for testing this out. Now I've already tested. I'm extremely excited, and I want to show you why I'm so excited. Okay. Now what I have is the wires are hooked up as if they were on the actual circuit board and on as if it was operating. So yellow is on the yellow, which is Herm. Okay, I'm going to hit these 2 together. You should be able to see it on the meter that it goes down to basically 0. So now I want to show you. See where it says 1 right there? We do not want to see that when we read these out. So I'm going to put 1. It doesn't matter which one. I just want to put 1 meter lead on yellow. I'm going to touch black. Okay, and you can see we have a resistance reading, which is really nice. We have another resistance reading on red, which means the coils are good. I'm going to go on black, and I'm going to read to red. Okay, and that's fine. This means that the compressor is good. The coils within the compressor are good. Well, I was able to get with the terminals last night. Didn't have time to do it up where I said I would go do it. Anyway, got the terminals from a electric shop. It's nice to have electricians as friends because these are contractors you have to go to get these. As a resident, we can't walk into these places and purchase stuff. So having friends like a guy named Doug that's been helping me out over the phone. Anyway, he actually set me up. So come on, for about $12, I got a fuse, 1 fuse I needed, and 3 of these, which have the 90-degree turn on it. My only problem is it gives me about a foot of extra wire, so I got to figure out where a foot of wire is going to go. These splices do shrink. It says in the instructions in there we need a hot air gun or a heat source, preferably a hot air gun, to actually shrink these down, and it stops moisture from getting in and corroding. So I've already done 2 of these splices. I want to show you something here. Okay, I pre-cut this, and it's kind of long, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it in there. And you'll want the insulation to be all the way up. If it's too long, if it sticks out like that, we need to trim it back. Okay, so I'm going to stick that in there. You're going to need crimpers. All right, these are my wire splitters, my cutters, and I have crimpers up here, 10 to 12. All right, and this is a number 10 splice. All right, and I'm going to go all the way down, right above where that's going in. And as I grip it, I'm pushing the wire in because I want the wire to be seated in there. And then you really crimp down, squeeze it real good. If you can't squeeze that hard to hold that in, you get somebody to do that for you. All right, and give a good tug. You're not doing a tug of war. You just give it a good tug, make sure it's not going to come out, and your splice is in. Well, there you go. That's before, where it's opened up. A lot of room for water to get through. And this is it after it's shrunk down. It's been heated up with a hot air gun. Try not to get the wire too hot. This will be very warm after you're done, so don't touch it. Afterwards, it's good. So no water is going to intrude on that, which is really nice. Well, I went out to the air conditioning. Do have an awning over it. It is showering. It's on and off showers, and it's kind of dark out there for the camera. So I drew a picture of the area with the terminals and what the terminals actually look like. That's going to be red, yellow, and black. All right. So some things you got to be careful of. Number one, if you by chance get the same extensions that I have, all right, this is black. So you have to make sure that yellow here is actually going to yellow. All right, now the reason why I'm making this presentation is this is the cowling that sits over, and your wires come up underneath this. They can't come out on the side at all, they have to come up this. So you have to look at and plan, once I untangle myself here, you have to look at and plan where this is going to go. And also, see this little groove right here? Okay, that little groove, that has to go over the pole that the flat piece is on. So it has to go on like this. It is not going to go on in reverse. It has to go on like this. So routing this wire inside and turning it, you have to forge it. Okay, you have to put your finger in there, bend it, and make a plan of how this is going to run through. We don't want it rubbing up against black or red. So I prefer, if we could, we take this. You don't want to bend at right at the terminal. All right, so you want to come up, put your finger there and bend it around. Okay, so we can bend it around and bring it around this way, in there, and around and down. So we could figure, okay, it's coming around here. It's going to be on this side. It's coming around here, so we're going to bend it, and that's going to be how it's going to sit in. Okay, once again, I made sure the breaker inside is off, and I pulled the fuse box out of the panel outside. Okay, this is what I did and how I arranged everything. So yellow, I looked at yellow and red and black and put them on exactly the way I got them off. All right, and that's why it's so important to take pictures. What I'm going to do out here is I have a zip tie. I'm going to zip these up after I put the cowling on. It's hard to, let's see if I can put this flashlight somewhere where you can see what I'm doing. Okay, the arm needs to be down before you put the cowling on. You push the cowling all the way in, it goes all the way in. All right, this arm comes up, and it's going to latch up on top. So you pull it up, and it latches. So it's holding on to two side arms and holding that into place. And the wires are coming out on the bottom. Okay, now the time to put the zip tie on. I don't think I really need to show you that, but I'll show you what it looks like right before I put the wires through. Actually, I'll put the wires through first. Once again, if you didn't do the crimp very good, you're going to have issues here. All right, so now I was thinking where to put all this excess wire. If I put the excess wire down here on the bottom, the leaves that gather and everything is going to cover them, and you really don't want these pieces in moisture. So now we need to push through the bottom. The bottom hole right here is where we're going. So we didn't come through the top, came through the bottom. All right, that's the only thing where there's nobody there. Nothing's there. Actually, I got to check something. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we came through the top. The fan went through the bottom. Okay, let me get the lens out. All right, so we can always look at your pictures, your videos, and get the ideas where everything came from. And that's why you want to constantly take videos. All right, put that through, grab it on the other side, pull it all the way through. Okay, put the red one in. Just work it in. Grab it on the other side. Wherever it went down. And be careful of other wires in there. Pull it all the way through. Alright, now the Herm. Alright, we're going to find a spot in here and push it through. And we're going to go look for it. Where is it? Push it some more so we can see it. Yeah, it went down this way. I'm sorry about the darkness. Alright, there's Herm. And we'll bring it all the way through. Alright, so that's it. That's our wire harness. Got to make sure our sensors over here stay straight up. And when we put this back into place, it'll be all good. Alright, so we're going to take any other wires that are loose here, we're going to push them through and make this an even thing. So now I'm working with one hand on, I've done this before, but this is tough. I'm going to zip tie this and snip it, and I'll show you it afterwards. Okay, there's our zip tie with about a 1/2 inch pigtail on it. I call it pigtail. Alright, so that's on. That's all good. That's on. We're ready to put our bottom panel on, and then put this on top, and then we're going to hook up our wires. Alright, now it's time to put the bottom cover on, this guy right here. Make sure that you're inside what I call probably servicing ports, and then you're on the inside of where the screws are going to go. There's 2 screws going to be on each side. Okay, all the screws are in. There's 2 down there. There's 1 up here. There's 1 over here, and 2 down there. Now, one thing you want to make sure is this grate right here stays underneath, and make sure it's tucked underneath on that side when you put it on. It'll just make it a whole lot easier when we put the top on. All right, just like what when I showed when we pulled it off, the Herm goes on Herm on the capacitor, the yellow one. The red goes on the right side of the power strip, and the black on the left side. And what we're going to do is hook up the fan now. We had a fan that the red wire came up here, and a black wire came down on the power down there, and another one, the brown wire, or purple, over there. Now, something to look at when we go put the fan on. I put the fan together on the top, and I probably should have done this in the beginning. Okay, you don't need to actually take the fan off to remove this. Just all you need to do is take the screws out of the side. You don't even have to take this out. Have the PVC pipe. The PVC pipe is there to stop the wires from hitting the blade as they spin around, and your wires are going to come down here. So I definitely said the wrong color on the wires. Okay, before you put the fan in place, angle it in such a way where you can get your hand down here and not crimp these wires as you have them standing by. Alright, so definitely don't pull on the wires so we're going to break the tips off. And we're going to feed these through one by one. Alright, let's go ahead and take one wire. It doesn't matter which one. We're going to stick it through. It's going to come out on this side. And what you can do is just reach over here and grab it and pull it through. Alright, we're going to grab the other one, find the end. We're going to put it through. Watch it come out on this side as a mosquito is hovering around me. Get him. And we're going to grab him. He's trying to go up. We're going to pull him out. Okay. I'm going to push this through. Try to have it go the same path as the others coming out. Now I want to take one more shot, one more look at that schematic that's on there. Okay, it says, alright, PUR to power, brown to capacitor, and I have black to power. So brown goes to capacitor. Alright, so we can, I'm going to need 2 hands for this. I'm going to put it on a tripod, but go ahead and angle your top. These 2 screws go toward this area, this corner. That's where your PVC pipe is right there underneath, and that's where the wires are coming. You don't want to have this turned around, and also you have curved ends and kind of a pointed end over here. Alright, a bigger area in this side, it goes over this bigger area here. Okay, I put the brown over here on fan. I put the power down next to the big power coming from the outside, from the compressor. Alright, and I put the purple over here on the side. Okay, so that's how the schematics on the motor say to do it. Alright, so no matter what it was before, doing it the right way by the schematic is the way to do it. I think this is how it was hooked up in the first place. Now what I did is worked around this, pushing this grate in. And that's important, not only on the bottom, it has to be in on top. And you're actually right here, and back up so it stays in focus. Right here, it's going to screw right into that, into the grate. And right here, it's going to do the same. Make sure it's like that all the way around. What I had a problem on this side is making sure it's in all the way down. I think what's going to happen here is we're going to unscrew some of these screws to actually reuse them when we put the other panel on. So I'm going to get that done. Like when the panel goes on, it's going to be using these screws. So now I put a zip tie on that, did not tighten it all the way down. I just want the extra wire that's on there to be tucked in and not really rubbing up against that, or not being pushed in against that, putting strain on something else in there. Okay, remove the bottom 2 screws of the top part, because we're going to reuse those. Okay, you have to maneuver this in such a way to where we're going to see the hole in this to put the screw, and you're going to be lined up with the other 2 down there. Okay, it's going to be, yeah, I guess you can see it pretty good. Take a look inside before you start this thing. That brown wire looks like it's going to get hit by the blade. Now those wires come off of the fan. So what you need to do is take the side panel off again. It's no big deal, just 4 screws. Alright, you're going to come down here to where the fan comes in, the brown wire, and you're going to pull that through some. Alright. When you pull it through, you can't really see it because I can't hold everything at once in my hands. So we have black wire. Okay, take the black wire and pull it through. Alright, to clear it of the fan. And I wonder where that, those are pipes. Are they going to hit that? That's the thing. That comes from a sensor up on top. No, that comes from, yeah, those come from the actual thing. Okay, I'm going to pull the purple wire. Yep, purple wire was there. Alright, and then what I want to do is I want to get something to actually swing this around inside. And make sure it doesn't hit anything. Do a manual swing, but see how much wire got pulled out? So I may want to take this and just squeeze it into that zip tie. That's why I let the zip tie loose, so it can be worked with. But take a look inside and make sure all the wires are clear of that fan. Well, everything's secure. All the nuts and, actually no nuts, all the screws are in place. Put the fuses in there, 2 good fuses. And I'm going to go pop the breakers inside, turn on the unit. Hopefully the breakers won't pop. And hopefully I get cool air. I'm going to come out, make sure the fan's spinning good, and you'll see it all here. Well, I popped the, I set the circuit breaker. My wife says we have cool air, and listen to this. Is that sweet? Oh, is that sweet? Oh, I'm going to put a price list at what it cost at the end of this. I hope you had fun watching. I know they were long videos, but what can you say? They'll save a lot of money doing this myself.